Hello and thank you for coming to check out this video. First off, I want to say congratulations to the people who were able to beat certpocalypse and get certified before the clock ran down. Good job on that. There's going to be more people getting their certifications down the road, and I think especially at the CCNP level, now that there's no CCNA requirement, and you also don't need to pass 3, 4, or 5 different exams to get your CCNP anymore. You have to pass the one core exam and the one concentration exam. So with that, people are going to be updating their resumes. Also, I've seen people on Facebook groups and other social media looking for help with how to, write their resumes. So I figured I'd make a short video about my resume, and while doing so, I'll kind of touch it up a little bit. Now, my resume is by no means perfect, and it is by no means the way that everybody has to do it. Everyone has their own information that they want to add, information that they don't want to have in there. Everybody has their own opinion on how it should flow. So this is just an example for people to take a look at and maybe have some food for thought. And then they can decide how they want their resume to look and make whatever modifications that they want to make. I also want to mention that a lot of the times that I see people looking for resume advice in these social media groups, it's people that don't have any experience in the field. Maybe they got their CCNA, but they've never actually worked in the field. So they don't know what to put on there, and they don't know how to gain experience with tools or other things that employers might look at as better than just having a certificate. So I'll be pointing out a few things in my resume that I think anybody can skill themselves in, and it would be something that if you had it on your resume, it may just pop to an employer and give you the edge that makes your resume a little bit more competitive than just having your CCNA written down on there or your CCNP written down on there, so that the employer realizes, okay, this person gets it. They're actually kind of tapping into things that we need from them. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Before getting into the resume too much, I want to point out that on the right-hand side, there was this thing from LinkedIn, which is Resume Assistant. I found that pretty cool. It was built into the Word document, and I'm using Office 365, so maybe that's part of it. I'm not too sure. I'll go ahead and close that out. Looking at the resume here, though, we can see that at the top, I have my name in big, bold letters, just using a very plain sort of a text, nothing too fancy, nothing that looks like handwritten script or anything crazy like that. Directly under it, I have an email address, which I regularly check. And I have my phone number where people can contact me directly. Next, I have my objective, and that's just, a little bit of a statement about who I am and what I'm looking for. Then we jump into this section of the resume, which I think is probably one of the most important sections. I'm putting in some of the products, protocols, and tools that I've been exposed to, things that I've used, at least where I am to a novice level, where I can speak to it at least. Some of these, I'm more at the expert level. And I thought it was important to have this at the top of the resume in the way that I have it, because it's a real quick bullet pointed list just to have people be able to look at what type of things I'm able to work on, what type of tools I know, and allow them to determine early on whether or not they're interested in reading the rest of my resume. Scrolling down, we can see my accomplishments. This is, again, something that I want to have at the top of the resume. And I may actually want to change this order with the accomplishments up top. Again, your resume is however you want to do it. So many people do it so many different ways. Whatever you think is going to work best, go ahead and do that. Maybe talk to some hiring managers, go to a job fair and have some people review your resume and give their critiques. This is just my personal choice. And then I go on to talk about my professional work experience. I tried to keep everything a one-liner, and I tried to put only the high value items in each section. And as you'll see, while I'm going through and looking at the resume, I'm going to make some changes to make things a little bit more up to date, taking off some old things that I don't think really carry that much value anymore and don't really need to be talked about, and have essentially become distractors now. So I want to take those distractors out of there. And then I'm going through and just listing out my different positions that I've held, even though they're not technical, just showing where I've been able to excel in different positions. And maybe some of this would be things that people take a look at it and see that there's some value, whether it be leadership traits or an ability to carry out a position that requires a certain level of responsibility and a certain level of accuracy in your work, a certain level of quality of product as well. So the resume video that I'm making right now, again, it's just to help some folks that are a little bit stuck and not really sure how they want to go about doing things. And just to kind of give them some food for thought, maybe something to jumpstart some of their ideas. If you take a look at the tools that I've used and the protocols that I've learned, a lot of those I actually learned labbing. I didn't really learn on the job. I learned studying for certificates and troubleshooting things in my lab. So Wireshark, that's something that anybody can learn without having to actually do it on the job. And I'll be doing a video about Wireshark showing how to install it, how to use it, how to apply filters, how to analyze the packets, and also where to find some sample packet captures that you can analyze for different scenarios. And then with using Wireshark, you're going to learn the protocols, and you'll learn them very well because you'll start looking at what ports are being used for the protocol, and you'll start looking at the exchange of messages that are needed to make the protocol actually function the way it's supposed to function. And for different scenarios or different requests, what happens, and just understanding the protocols really a lot better all the way down to the network level, traffic on the wire type of stuff. Other things like Python programming, that was stuff that I learned on my own, taking free courses, reading free books, and just coming up with things that I wanted to try to do using programming, and just going to see, how do I do this, and Googling and Googling and Googling and thinking, hey, this program would be way better if I could add a particular functionality to it. And then I would Google, how do I do this in Python? And then I just try to make it work and troubleshoot it when it wasn't working. Also for Linux, I really learned Linux when I bought a Raspberry Pi and started messing around with things in the command line, and not having to worry about destroying a server or, you know, causing some sort of business impact, some sort of network outage. It was just my little $35 Raspberry Pi that if the thing went down, if I completely destroyed the operating system or anything like that, if I deleted something from the file system that was absolutely critical, I could just go back and reinstall the operating system. It wasn't that big of a deal. So it really gives you an environment where you can be comfortable to do whatever you want. So there are things that even if you don't work in the field yet, you can go and get your own exposure to it, and at least have it to the point where you can talk about it, or have it to the point where you can explain, you know, what you've learned and how did you go from point zero to where you are now. I really hope that there's some value in this for the other people out there that are maybe looking to update their resume because they just recently got certified before certpocalypse, or other people who are going to, you know, in the near future get their CCNP or other certifications and they want to update their resume with that, or just anyone who is looking to get into the field and they're not really sure how to put technical stuff in their resume without any job experience. So thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.